Ladies and gentlemen, higher education system in Malaysia charting the path ahead. Dato Sri Dr. Zamri Abdul Kadir, the Malaysian Minister of Higher Education, once said, the new higher education plan is designed to ensure Malaysia's higher education system remains relevant, competitive, and resilient over the next decade. So that is what we will be discussing today in this sixth and final episode of Akept's Let's Talk About webinar series for this year. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greetings to everyone tuning in today, wherever you are in the world. Today's webinar is brought to you by Akept, the Higher Education Leadership Academy of Malaysia, USIM University Science Islam Malaysia, and Surya Raihead Regional Center for Higher Education and Development under the Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization. So a very warm welcome to everyone tuning in today. So Akept, let's talk about LTA is a platform that was launched back in May 2024 to facilitate discussions on leadership in higher education. Its key objectives include providing a space for leaders to share experiences, address challenges such as technology integration and social changes, plus expand networks across ASEAN countries. LTA offers practical guidance that leaders can apply in real world settings. Its key impact is to ultimately contribute to building a more inclusive, competitive, and future ready higher education sector. So, my name is Dr. Noor Hidayah Azman. I am truly honored to be your host for today's session. So before we begin, a few quick notes. We are broadcasting live to you from Facebook on AKEP's page, which is Akademi Kepimpinan Pendidikan Tinggi. We are also on YouTube via the USIM TV channel. So thank you so much to everybody tuning in to us on Facebook at AKET or YouTube via USIM TV. Thank you so much for being here. Please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat box. Tell us where you're tuning in from. We would love to hear from you. Should you have any questions for any of our distinguished speakers, you may post them in the chat box. So we will address them during the Q&A session later. Most importantly, do watch out for the registration form and the feedback form. We will send out a link for you all to fill in. So if you would fill in these forms, basically we will give you a certificate of attendance. So just to repeat, watch out for the link for the registration and feedback form. Fill in the form and we will send you your certificate of attendance. So that's the end of the housekeeping bits. So moving on to today's topic, we have higher education system in Malaysia, charting the path ahead. We are very excited to have a phenomenal lineup of distinguished panelists for today, each of whom brings deep expertise and insights from all across the globe. Our first panelist is Professor and Senior Dr. Khairul Salim Muhammad Sahari, Vice Chancellor of University Tenaga Nasional, sorry, bro, from the Uni 10. The second panelist that we have is Professor Dr. Is Fatima, the head of the Department of Chemistry from Universitas Islam Indonesia, UII. We were scheduled to have a third panelist, which is Prof. Tan Sri Datuk Sri Nur Aslan Ghazali from UKM. However, unfortunately, he's unable to join us today. But no worries, our two panelists are excellent. We are very happy to have both of them here. So I really look forward to what our panelists are going to share with us today. So let's take this opportunity to learn, exchange ideas, and forge a brand new frontier for Malaysia's higher education. So before we begin, allow me to introduce our moderator. We have the lovely Professor Dr. Zurina Shafi'i, a professor at University Science Islam Malaysia, USIM, at the Faculty of Economics and Muamalat. Her background is in accounting and Islamic finance from UITM and Durham University, UK, which includes ACCA and Certified Islamic Financial Planner credentials. She is the president of the Association of Islamic Financial and Wealth Management. She is also a member of multiple Sharia committees, such as the Standard Chartered Sadiq Malaysia and Zurich Takaful. She also leads a policy research grant on Sharia audit with the Malaysian Institute of Accountants. She is the co-founder of MIG Consultancy and co-creator of the award-winning Muamalat interactive game. She was a visiting researcher in Durham University Business School, the Islamic Research Training Institute of the Islamic Development Bank, IDB, the World Bank's Global Islamic Finance Development Center based in Istanbul, and she was also in Kyoto University, Japan. Quite the world traveler. So, without further ado, let us please embark on today's journey. I am very pleased to welcome Professor Zarina to kick off today's session. So, over to you, Prof.
I'm as introduced, Prof. Zurina Shafi'i. Today is going to be the moderator for the session, inshallah. And I would like to welcome the speakers, listeners of the sessions, amongst policymakers, strategists, educators, researchers, and learners to this session where we'll be discussing the issue of higher education system in Malaysia, charting the path ahead. And the webinar is brought by Akept. Let's talk about. And today, yeah, we're going to talk about education system in Malaysia. It's quite, a big topic. Yeah, Prof. Insinia and Prof. Is now. We are discussing about Malaysia, and of course, we have to relate it with the regional development as well. And inshallah, in 1.5 hours, we will listen to reflections on shared priorities and emerging regional trends. And the discussions aim to identify the practical pathways for building a more resilient, future ready, and globally connected higher education ecosystem in the Southeast Asia. And we could sense from our experience as policymakers, educators, and learners that Malaysia's and Indonesia's higher education system is navigating rapid global change with new industry demands, rising societal expectation, AI disruptions, and demographic shifts. These challenges are not unique to Malaysia, and they are shared across Southeast Asia as well. And as the region works to enhance competitiveness, innovation, and cross border integration, Malaysia stands at a critical juncture. And this is also true for the Indonesian market and also in the Southeast Asian situation. And it's my pleasure to introduce our distinguished panelists, and inshallah, I will guide the discussion on shaping the future of higher education. I present to you Prof. Insinyur Dr. Khairul Saleh Muhammad Sahari, which is the Vice Chancellor and CEO of UNITEN, formerly Deputy CEO of the Malaysian Qualification Agency. He has chaired regional and international quality assurance bodies along in his career, robotics, mechatronics, and AI experts. He led Malaysia's National Robotic Roadmap 2021-2030 and also a fellow of Academy of Sciences Malaysia. Okay, that is our senior Prof. Khairul Saleh Muhammad Sahari. And second panelist is Prof. Dr. Is Fatimah. Uh, she's a professor of chemistry at Universitas Islam Indonesia, where she has also served as head of chemistry department since 2018, a fellow of Royal Society of Chemistry. She is actively contribute to national and international accreditation boards, including LAMSAMA and ASIN, and she has published over 200 papers in reputable journals and is recognized among the top 2% of world scientists, which the list came out from Stanford University 2022 2025. So yeah, the two are our panelists for today, and inshallah we will go according to themes to what we would like to discuss about the future of higher education. And I think I just go to Prof. Khairul on the we start to talk about governance, leadership, governance, and strategic vision. And my question to you, Prof. Khairul, is that when we talk about governance reforms, how can autonomy, accountability, and agility be strengthened simultaneously without creating tension with regulatory framework? And I think you are the best person to answer this because, as the CEO of a private university where autonomy, accountability, and agility probably is, the most relevant leadership situation that you have to encounter and to lead, Prof. Hairul?
Okay, thank you, Prof. Dr. Zurina, for the introduction and the question. And thank you again to Akept and also Usim and also Simio Rahat for inviting me to speak on today's webinar. As you said, I think being a private university, of course, we have to comply with, for example, Act 555, Act 555, which is the Private Higher Education Institution Act 1996, as well as, of course, other acts, like MQA Act 2007. And if you come from a public university, of course, you have to comply with the University and the University College Act, or the Act 30, or in Malaysia we call it AUKU. That's one, a few of the acts, and of course those provide us with the regulatory framework. So what are the fine line of how you need to comply, and because basically higher education is a well-regulated industry, and for us in the private higher education institution or sector, we want to consider higher education also as an industry, because industry means you get profit from it. Of course, some of the universities are not established for profit. For example, like UNITEN, we are not for-profit organization. Actually, we are more towards serving the nation's needs and creating and or producing talents for the country. So I think first of all, when we talk about the reforms and the autonomy, accountability, and the agility, first of all, I think the most important thing is to understand what are the boundaries. So as a leader, in your respective institutions, I think it's very pertinent to understand first the regulatory frameworks available and what have been changed, introduced, amended, so that we can actually maximize the opportunity when it comes to the programs that we develop, the type of modality of the programs, in terms of the when we talk about articulation, students coming in from various backgrounds, as well as when it comes to, for example, for us, and I believe it's also applicable to all the public universities as well. Students is not the only revenue that we are looking at. We are also looking at other revenue streams, such as endowment, research commercialization, and there are so many other revenue streams that can come in from rental and so on. So I think first, as I explained earlier, understanding the regulatory frameworks are very important. You need to know the boundaries, and that requires engaging with the regulators, such as the ministry, JPT in the case of Malaysia, the Department of Higher Education, with the agencies like the Malaysia Qualifications Agency, EMGS, PTPTN, and all the other agencies, including the opportunities that you can get when you engage with Akept when it comes to training. So I think that being said, once you need to know the boundaries, then can you design and plan according to what is actually what is the best for you, for your institution. And that's when you minimize the tension with these frameworks. I think that's very, very important. And for us, for example, in UNITEN, we are also wholly owned subsidiary of Tenaga Nasional Berhad, TNB. So of course, there's also things that we need to consider when it comes to, for example, energy transition, because we are also supporting the national agenda on net carbon zero by 2050, and reporting wise, we also in a way accountable, and also in a way also reporting to Tenaga Nasional Berhad, and then with that, Tenaga is also reporting to Petra, the Ministry of Energy. So I think that kind of different scenario, different situations for different institutions. I believe everyone is unique, but again, understanding your role, your situation, and understanding the boundaries is very important. So, of course, autonomy. Then, when it comes to autonomy, for us, we are very lucky because we are one of the 20 institutions in the country who are enjoying the self-accreditation status from MQA. So I think with that, the autonomy is bigger for us because we can self-accredit our own programs. But with autonomy comes responsibility. So with responsibility, again, actually, it's a good thing that we need to really upskill and train our people so that they really understand what the in and out of the, for example, the MQA Act and all the regulations and the policies, because we have to do this by ourselves. So I think that provides, with autonomy, as I said, comes responsibility. So of course, autonomy also needs to be supported by strong internal governance, including capable governing boards, transparent decision-making processes, and data-driven performance monitoring. So for us, we are also very lucky because in the composition of our board, because for a private institution like us, we need to have two different boards. One is the board of directors for the holding company. And for us, because it's under Tenaga Nasional Berhad, so naturally, our board composition comprises of many from the top management of the Tenaga Nasional Berhad itself. And for the board of governance, we are very lucky to also have the chair, who is a very experienced person, who was former Director General for Higher Education, and also the former VC of UiTM, Dato' Professor Emeritus Dr. Hassan Said. So I think with good governance and good board, they can also steer the pathway for the university better. And I think that is very, very important. Accountability should be measured through the institutional performance reviews. So we have that periodically, and graduate employability, for example, research impact and societal contribution, rather than excessive procedural controls. And again, for an institution like a private institution like UNITEN, of course, all these are very, very important. Everything is about achieving the targets. There's always this KPI, performance indicators that we need to meet, and we need to look at the bottom line, because although we are not for profit, we need to make sure that we are financially self-sustainable, and whatever research we do needs to have impact to the company, to Tenaga Nasional Berhad, to the industry, to the society, and to the nation. And agility can be enhanced by enabling faster academic and financial decision making, which, alhamdulillah, for us being a private, of course, is within our control. We can actually do this very, very fast, supported by digital governance systems and risk-based quality assurance. Again, being a self-accrediting status institution allows us to be very agile in this matter. And based on my experience in MQA and also in the regional quality assurance bodies, governance systems that trust institutions but intervene when risks emerge tends to be more resilient and adaptive. And I believe MQA is also moving towards that. We can see that this year alone, MQA has produced a lot of advisory notes on multiple credentials. So those are additional opportunities for the institutions out there. And the new way, flexible way of quality assurance, I think that was already published this year from MQA. So, and at UNITEN, all these are implemented by empowering our college, which is basically our faculties and centers, to make timely academic and operational decisions. So I think we need to act very, very fast, especially when there's a need to come up with new programs. So I know and I understand in the public universities is a bit tougher when it comes to new programs offerings, especially at the undergraduate level, because you have to go through a lot of processes, bureaucratic processes. But for us, these are things that we can control and we can mitigate. And we believe that fast decision making, but impactful ones are very, very important. So that again highlights the importance of having a balance, autonomy, accountability, and agility. And of course, I think that's for now. Maybe perhaps I talk too much. Back to you, Prof. Zurina.
People can't give us a microphone, or else we're gonna speak. I mean, I have of course a question for Prof. Is Fatimah afterwards, but a little bit, Prof. Khairul, a follow-up question on when you mentioned about risk-based quality assurance, which is part of accountability, part of autonomy as well. I mean, probably more to accountability. On risk-based quality assurance, how is it different from performance-based quality assurance, and how that going to be picked up by the assurance through audit and so on? Because I'm Sharia audit background, so when you say risk-based quality assurance, that triggered the learning mode in me. 2 minutes of sharing, Prof, perhaps.
So I think I'm also very lucky, Alhamdulillah, Prof. Zurina, that I was involved in the drafting of the new higher education blueprint for the country. And one of the, inshallah, if once it's released, one of the important element is agile governance. And we highlighted that there is a need to move from, being very police-like quality assurance towards more of risk-based. So I think with that in mind, when we talk about risk-based, then we will start to think about what are actually the risks. Quality assurance is also about risks, right? So how to mitigate risks. So when we start to think about risk as the bigger in a bigger picture, then perhaps it will provide us with more flexibility in terms of how, because it's all again is about risk mitigation and the solution and the solutions that we think is then needs to be tied up to the risk. So I think it's all about that, and we believe that moving forward, we want to enhance and move forward, because when we look at countries like UK, so they look at quality assurance from the institutional point of view rather than looking at the program point of view. So I guess Malaysia, we are ready to move towards maybe that. But of course, there needs to be assessment. And I think the current mitigation, the current implementation is that some institutions are invited to become self-accredited, which is basically then the audit would be more of institution level. So once we are really ready, then maybe perhaps all, if not all, majority of the institutions can then enjoy the same type of quality assurance, looking at the institution rather than looking at the program per se. That's my input for and my opinion. Thank you.
So from agile governance, so we assess the risks that arise from the agile implementation of quality assurance. Okay, and I think I have also a question that I will pose to Prof. Is Fatimah about Campus Merdeka around that idea of agile academic governance as well later. But my main questions this round to Prof. Is Fatimah is, as we know, in one of the important strategic vision of universities are collaborations. So collaborations across faculties, department, and even collaboration with international partners, sometimes it's often easier said than done. So how can we create a culture that genuinely breaks silos and promote co-creation through collaboration? And probably, in terms of the collaboration, Prof. Is Fatimah could also share with us about, the practice of Campus Merdeka and how that actually being linked to research, innovation, and the mobility of the lecturers and also the learners. Please, Prof. Is Fatimah.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the committee for inviting me to share the experiences. Even the topic is higher education in Malaysia, but thank you because I have some experience collaborated with I made a collaboration with University Malaya for sending my students for student mobility as well as in the MedStack UniKL and some other department in Malaysia. So I do agree with the collaboration, as we know that the collaboration is one of the important issue in higher education. Probably it is such a different with in Malaysia that the university possible to make a self assessment or self accreditation to the study program in the university. In Indonesia, all of the study program in university should be accredited by the we call as lembaga akreditasi mandiri, so private accreditation board. And in the accreditation board, one thing that have to be assessed is on the collaboration. It is not only collaboration between the university but with other institutions like industry and also the stakeholders of the alumni. So, talking about the collaboration, actually, the collaboration is a must, as we know that historically, collaboration in research, science, and technology need the science diplomacy itself and have been provenly success to overcome some problem in health, for example, in tuberculosis, Ebola, and most recently we facing the COVID-19, for example. So the collaboration is in the university with other sectors. The collaboration in higher education, I myself is the assessor for the Lembaga Akreditasi Mandiri. Usually in Indonesia, the collaboration is mostly in the research and education for the students. It is required create a real problem. Yeah, solving the problem is a must. So okay, we say that okay, some collaboration require the output, something like paper publication, for example. Paper publication is important, but the real impact to the society and industry is something that inevitable. Yeah, so for example, in Malaysia, we make collaboration with Malaysia because of the high potency to take part the fruitful collaboration, and based on the data that there are sufficient infrastructure in Malaysia. So, in my opinion, the Malaysia institution reflect the best strategic planning and regulation for make fruitful collaboration in the future. In Indonesia, the collaboration among higher education with industry is stated. One of these is by the curriculum Merdeka. Yeah, curriculum Merdeka is not only for higher education actually, but also in high school and also primary school. So in university we call as Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka. So what is Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka? Is it the program stated by the Ministry of Education, now Ministry of Research and Higher Education, uh, that provide the student to take part in industrial activities during 1 until 2 semesters. And by the activities in industry outside the campus, they could take about 20 credit. And And there are several schemes, such assistant in the research institution like NLIPI, Badan Riset dan Inovasi Nasional. Also, they can follow the activity in industry, either in industry, this doing analysis, doing the administrative work for maybe for economic and so on, for economic students, political, law, and so on in other board. And then the third scam is like the social activities. So social activities compulsory credit, yeah, in university we call SKKN, doing some social activities in the village to educate the students in very pure area. So by the MBKM, actually they can also follow this activity uh, as a part of the curriculum. Also, the student can follow the Indonesian International Student Mobility Award, which is the part of MBKM. Other kind of the activity, something like independent entrepreneurship and so on, and it is MBKM. So the in this game, between the host of the MBKM, should also evaluate the what we call in the accreditation board. We still fix with the capaian pembelajaran lulusan or program learning outcome. So the study program should evaluate the program learning outcome after the students follow the MBKM. So not only for MBKM, yeah, but the most important thing is we think that to facing the problem in the future, it is more important. So like for example, we all together facing the problem of environment, for example, in the issues, for example. By the collaboration to enrich the student capability to
Mm.
make a social and maybe the sustainability issues in the future.
Yeah, yeah.
Am
Thank
I
you.
Malaysia?
Mhm. Yeah, actually, we have quite a big lag. I think from your, we received quite a long lag. So yeah, so from your response, the collaboration that you mentioned is industry collaboration and also the social activities as well, which means the social collaboration, which is part of the curricula for Indonesia's learning. I mean, I have in mind, how the assessment will look like, especially when,
Yeah,
activities with the
yeah,
societies and so on. Yeah, I've attended, an art program that was done in collaboration with a university program in Indonesia, in Aceh at the time. And I was like, mesmerized on how this is being assessed, how the risk of the the program being assessed beyond traditional curricula. So, if you like to, add a little bit more on how the
Yeah,
collaboration, which is non-traditional, is being assessed in universities in
yeah,
Indonesia.
yeah. So every university should have the system of the MBKM. So the system of MBKM should notify and should make a statement of program learning outcome of each department or each subject. For example, for chemistry we have like nine of the program learning outcome. So something like ethics, social responsibility, and then the language capability, and then the capability in chemistry, and so on and so forth. So if student going to conduct the MBKM program, like they have the flood situation, for example, or we call as a project kemanusiaan. So the student can go to Sumatera, for example, to help being the victim of the flood, for example. So they will report what is happened during their activity. So after that, the student will get the report in the written report, and they should present the activities during their program. And then the study in charge with the will collect what kind of program learning outcome will be related with the activity.
Hmm. So the
So
outcome
probably
from
not
the
one.
socioeconomic, no, the PLO of the outcome of the activity is now
Converted in.
being mapped to the PLOs from the activity that has been done. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, thank you,
Correct.
Prof. A. So you've talked about industry collaboration and also social collaboration with Merdeka, Campus Merdeka, and also Campus Merdeka curriculum as well. Then it opens to our discussion on how these are actually enhancing academic quality, increase relevance, and also promote graduate employability. And because learning is not, only learning in the classrooms, but also, the interaction with the industry and also with
Classroom.
the community. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then, with that, my question to Prof. Engineer Dr. Khairul, how, looking into the development of collaboration as we have discussed just now, how the Malaysian higher learning institution could continuously adapt academic programs to meet the needs of emerging industries, future skills, and ASEAN mobility framework. Prof. Khairul.
Okay, so there's a lot of elements there that needs to be addressed. All in all, I think number one is, of course, people are talking about the relevancy of universities
Hmm.
because, nowadays, even in the United States, in America, some of the major companies are no longer recruiting some of the talents who actually require a bachelor's degree, for example, as long as they have the skill sets. So to the industry, I think it's becoming more and louder, the voices from the industry, that what is actually important is the competency to do the work.
Hmm.
Whether and but then on the side of a university, we are not only looking at the aspect of the industry, but we want to really, this is in accordance to our national philosophy as well, to ensure that whatever talent that we produce or we nurture is holistic. Yeah, holistic in the sense that not only for work, but as a human being, how are you, how are you responsible enough to the society? to your family, to the earth, environment. Those are all needs to be embedded in our curriculum. So I think that we continue to believe, at least for now, that the universities are relevant because we want to nurture and we want to develop talents who are wholesome and holistic. But having said that, how do we meet the needs of emerging industries? Because we know that now, for example, AI is very much the flavor of the day. But we will never know that in the next few years what will be the next emerging technology. So I think adapting to that requires number one, I think in Malaysia as a whole, we look at the whole nation approach, where I think MQA has been doing a great job in ensuring that the standards are revised. For example, we have the computing standards, and soon we will have a dedicated AI standard. So that charters or that provides or creates the pathway for institutions to follow. I think that's very important because at least you provide some guidelines on how these programs should be developed. Number two, I think there is also a need for the universities, institutions themselves to see and to engage with the industries directly on what are the relevant skill sets that are required by the industry. So having and again, I believe the Ministry of Higher Education through the Department of Higher Education and MQA has been doing a tremendous job in providing advisory notes and circulars that actually encourages universities, institutions of higher learning to actually, for example, to venture into multiple credentials. Yeah. So multiple credentials means that not only you need to focus on your degree, but what comes together with the degree. Maybe you can have additional certification, and we also have through the ministry, through MQA, encouraging in the universities, institutions to also get feedback directly from the industry. And this is given through the GIBC, which is the guidelines on for industrial verification of curriculum. So that's not mandatory, of course, but it's something that you can use and actually obtain industry's feedback and industry's verification, which we definitely should be a plus point when you promote your programs to the parents and the students, because the industries themselves confirm that the program is meets the requirement of the industry. So I think that is very, very important for us, because at the end of the day, all this will be reflected, because in Malaysia we do have the GE, the Graduate Employability Survey every year, although the instrument has changed this year. But again, that is one of the indicators to show that our students get a job. And in Unit 10, we have even an indicator that looks at whether our students, when they get employed, whether they get employment, the salary that they receive is actually above the minimum, not above the minimum, above the average salary that the students are getting. So we put that as an indicator so that we can track and ensure that whatever the product, the programs that we have really meets the requirements, and the students who we nurture really meets the requirements of the industry. And again, I think being adaptive to the changes is very, very important, and that's also when you have your quality assurance cycle, and how frequent do you review your programs. Because I think if you just base on the standards, for example, in MQA, you are only required to do a curriculum review a minimum once every 5 years. But that is a decision for the institutions to make, because some programs you cannot afford to wait for 5 years. Yeah, given, for example, AI programs, computing programs, you have to review it maybe almost every year, just to make sure that the curriculum stays relevant. So again, that decision, it goes back to the previous question on the accountability autonomy, because you need, as an institution, you need to decide, and it's not one size fit all approach that you need to implement even within your university. So I think all institutions in Malaysia, not regardless of whether it's in Malaysia, in the region, needs to look at this and be able to identify and decide on adapting their curriculums against the needs of the industry. And this is very important when you, at the end of the day, when it link this to the ASEAN mobility framework, because in ASEAN we already have the CMIO and also the ASEAN Joint Declaration on the Common Higher Education Space in 2024, and it's supported by Malaysia being the chairman for ASEAN. This year we have the Jogja Declaration. And so I think that is also providing us with the regional context. So intra-ASEAN mobility is something that we have been talking about, and I think Malaysia is championing, at least EMGS is championing in terms of the having a dedicated repository of scholarships in ASEAN. Yeah, so all the ASEAN member states can look at one platform to see how what are the opportunities for scholarships. So I think mobility frameworks also work based on consensus between different member states, and having Timor-Leste as a new member of ASEAN also adds to that diversity of differences that we have among even within the same region. And in ASEAN we have two important frameworks, I believe, when it comes to higher education. One is the ASEAN Quality Assurance Framework, AKAF, and the other one is the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework, or AQRF. So AKAF is the more comprehensive framework that looks after the QA as a whole, where we look at the governance side of all these accreditation bodies in the region. Also the framework when it comes to the, for example, the qualifications framework. In Malaysia, we have the MQF. And then we also have the IQA part. And all this, how can this be, when you have at the regional level, then of course it's something that is referenced by the member states. So having the regional framework really helps in the sense that all member states will then be in a way aligned to one another. And the AQRF, on the other hand, when you talk about the qualifications framework, because we have the reference framework in ASEAN, that actually helps the member states who reference to the framework. Currently, we have Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and Philippines to be referenced. And the 4 member states from the CLMV, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam, are also in the midst of referencing to the framework. So once we have that, everyone is referenced together to the framework, then it's will definitely provide or create a better mobility. And having, other than this, we also have initiatives such as the Mutual Recognition Agreement, MRA, and MRS, Mutual Recognitions on Skills at the regional level, where we actually look at the mobility of the professionals and also skill works. So all this, when you combine together, I believe at the regional level, we are also doing a lot to try and harmonize the differences between the member states to allow better mobility, because at the end of the day, as a region, our voice is louder, and we want more maybe international students to come to ASEAN. Of course, Malaysia, we also envision to be the hub for higher education in the region. But again, I think together with the other member states, our voice for the region is louder. Perhaps we can actually attract more international students to come to the region and to come to Malaysia. Okay, so that, and I believe that is also something that, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Prof, again, I'm gonna ask Prof. Fatimah first. on about the quality assurance and graduate employability, but I have one burning question to ask you about, what actually does it take for the universities to hire the right people, and what are the diversification leadership development that a university need to have in order to produce students, programs that are relevant, and students that are has very high graduate employability, what we call status and acceptability by the market. That's the question that I would like to ask you after I ask Prof. Is Fatima later on this. Yeah. So now, Prof. Is Fatima, we have heard about what the CEO of Uniten, being a private university, has been talking about. How the academic quality is being practiced, and also and how that is what we call affecting the graduate employability in the case of private university in Malaysia. So, in terms of the experience in Indonesia, how the balancing of academic excellence with practical experiential learning, is it a challenge, or how is it that you manage in terms of the design of university curricula that equip students with both rigorous knowledge and also hands-on competency? Is it a challenge, or how you do it in the university and in Indonesia in general?
Yeah, okay. So actually, the Ministry of Higher Education has stated that every study program should follow the competencies-based curriculum, and every body of the accreditation body should evaluate the quality of teaching and learning in the study program based on the program learning outcome, and also how the curriculum being conducted. And some of study program not only took the national accreditation board, but also followed some international accreditation board, like in my department, or study program in chemistry department follow not only the Lembaga Akreditasi Mandiri Sains and Ilmu Formal for science and formal sciences in national level, but also we follow the international accreditation of Royal Society of Chemistry and also the ASEAN accreditation from Germany. So the issues of balancing the competencies, especially related with the capacity building, knowledge, how students get the knowledge not only from class but also by activity for student mobility and so on, is challenging. Actually, it is also related with the academic atmosphere of the university itself. You know that Indonesia, there are variety of the level of quality of the universities. Uh, Not only the private and public university, but also the location of the some university in restricted area or something like that. So, for example, if we need to improve the competency of student, especially related with the skill. For example, in chemistry, we make such a standard in Lembaga Akreditasi Mandiri that student should do analysis with such instrumentation, like instrumentation of like spectroscopy or the high level of spectroscopy. But it is challenging for the university that could not access the instrumentation.
Hmm.
So that's why how the study program meet with the strategy to overcome this problem is by the collaboration. Yeah, so we can share the instrumentation to the university in the lower level of us, for example, or we made the consortia between the universities so the students can access the instrumentation. So so that's why the input from the industry, what is competencies required by the industries is very important to initially when the study program conduct the or form the curriculum. So it is also mentioned that in the curriculum formation, the study program should involve the stakeholders and industry. So the competencies of each study program should, yeah, they have the fixed standard, but each university should have the characteristic of the uh, of the uh, of the student or of the graduates. Yeah, for example, chemistry in Universitas Islam Indonesia should be different with the chemistry with other university. So how to construct the standard, yeah, uh, there are many factors in should be considered, like how the university could improve the academic atmosphere, like how the university can attract the visiting professor or the overseas students, something like that. Also, how university can access the instrumentation, and how to construct the potential uh, uh, grant, yeah, to support the academic activities, something like that. So I think the leadership in the university is important. I agree with what Prof. Hairul Saleh mentioned, that the leadership in university is very important uh, to make each study program in the university can meet with the goal, the vision, and mission of each study program. So the graduates can get the better employability. Also, the relationship between higher education and industries as well as in society will be fruitful. Something like that, Doctor.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Fatima, on your module development and also how it is impacting and how collaboration is also impacting. So yeah, my question to you, Prof. Khairul, on actually who to hire to get job done, especially if you think out of the box. I mean, you are from private university, but you know talking also thinking also on behalf of public university. I mean, who to hire to get this done?
Okay, if we look at the private sector, it's a very more, the dynamic is actually, there's a lot more dynamics when it comes to the changes, the shifts, and also the transformation. And you can see that some of the very aggressive private universities, they do strategic hires. Yeah, even among our, friends from the public universities, yeah, they strategically hire these individuals to help them to accelerate whatever they want to achieve, for be it in the form of research prominence, be in the form of, in certain cases, the marketing, because for private, marketing is very, very important. How you market your program, the branding of the university. So because for private especially, it's all about survival, and you are not guaranteed anything in terms of the students. So you have to work very hard to get your students. So I think that dynamic needs to, if we look at the public, perhaps the urgency now, perhaps you're always talking about the budget is not enough. So how can you actually get more funding, and how can we generate more funding? I think, and for Unit 10, for example, we want to focus on things like monetization or creation of wealth through our research products. So not only those research product, outcomes end up in publications and citations, but how the impact beyond that. So looking at that, and then we start to look at the technology readiness level (TRL) that we are shifting towards the higher TRLs and going to pre-commercialization, sandboxing, and then coming up with startups and things like that. I think we are looking at that kind of model now. I think many of the maybe research intense private universities are also looking into that kind of model. And this is not something new actually, because when you benchmark with our neighbors like in Singapore, you have already see this kind of development even 10 years ago, where the professors are now being encouraged and mandated to get some kind of product out of their research work. So again, even for the public, the same can be applicable. So because some of the public universities, maybe you also need people who is very dynamic, who has a lot of experience, and but then maybe these people can come from both public or private sector, and having that flexibility in terms of the and I think we are trying to do that at the ministry to do what we call as resource sharing. So that can also be a solution that can be looked at when it comes to sharing of resources, including talents. I believe that is maybe the way forward for at least for the public universities and some of the many of the private universities as well. So yeah, strategic hire is very important, I think, and knowing who you want to get and getting them to come on board, because that requires your package has to be very attractive. And for a private, of course, you have to balance that with the cost and how much you actually can earn more when you appoint this kind of.
So it goes back to your first point, that is the effort of monetization of research and development initiative, and we monetize rather than put it in publication and so on. And so a similar question that I would like to ask to Prof. is Fatima, that the situation in University Islam Indonesia, and how the research and development, especially in science where you are in, how the state of commercialization or monetization of research that have taken place in your university and also in Indonesia in general.
Yeah. Okay, so there is the problem of science and technology, I think, especially for basic science like chemistry, statistics, and biology, for example. So the important result of research is actually how the research could be adopted by the industries. So that's why in the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Higher Education, there are some scheme of research available for lecturers. There are kind of the level of research. So something like fundamental research, and then application research, and the next level of research is we call hilirisasi. Hilirisasi means the application of research in the real industry. It is not only industry as the chemical industry or the big industry, but also the society. Something like if the project is a social project, so the hilirisasi means how the technology and science can be adopted in the real society. So the scheme is actually adapted by every university, but it is again depend on the funding, the available funding, and also the collaboration between the university and industry itself. So in our university, we also has the board to make the result of research could be adopted by society and industry. We call simple tumbuh. So it is the body that can conduct the meeting between the researchers and industries. Yeah. So
Mm.
uh, the problem is sometimes from the laboratory scale, it is like a little bit different when we apply the result of research in industrial scales. So how to manage and how to overcome the problem, it takes time, not only time, but also needs some funding. So uh, the university and also some boards required to uh, uh, how to initiate the dissemination of the result of research. So that's actually the problem, the mainly problem in Indonesia. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Dr. Is Fatima. I think that is a practice that we could benchmark as well, where we have a board to look into the research and development initiative by the
Yeah.
researchers, and then when we could link it even to the society. I mean, in our practice, we more like assess it whether it could be commercialized to the industry, but then of course, we have the the industry and community linkages, but then in terms of to make it adaptable to the society, probably that's lesson learned that we can learn from Indonesia's practice. Thank you, Prof. Is. Inshallah, we will be taking questions from the floor from our participants. So we have a question from Auni Patricia Abdul Mal. Yeah, this is the username anyway. So the question is, how should higher learning institutions prepare for a future where lifelong learning becomes the norms and degrees lose their dominance over time? So that's what I added, over time. So yeah, Prof. Khairul or Prof. Isfatimah, to you,
Okay.
both of you could respond, please. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I can start. Thank you for the question. I think this is where we talk about unbundling of education. So when we start to unbundle the education, this is, I think, what one of the initiatives in Indonesia where Prof. is talked about the Campus Merdeka, where you actually have micro credentials with collaboration from the industry. And I think this is also the same thing that we are looking at Malaysia, and even at the regional level at ASEAN, where we start to think about the definition, the common definition of micro credentials, so that its interoperability is good, because we don't want to do things where we, is what we call in Malay short sendiri. At the end of the day, whatever we do needs to be in line with the needs of the industry and the rest of the world. So when it comes to unbundling of higher education, number one, people talk about micro-credentialing. So the courses that you offer in a degree can now be selected and taken as short modular courses. But they still have credit bearing, and this then leads to stackable credentials and stackable degrees. So from the institution point of view, I believe there are many ways of coming up with micro credentials, but one good example that perhaps I want to highlight is when we think of the degree now, not as a degree, but from a stacking of micro credentials, and not the other way around, where we normally do the design of the degree and then we unbundle it. Because when you do that, when you start to unbundle, maybe not every single component in the unbundled degree carries a unique selling point on its own. Whereas if you do it the other way around, you will start to think that what are the attractive components that can sell on its own, and this is where you talk about the unique selling point. And then when you stack them together, of course, all these are credentials that are on its own sellable, but then when you stack it up, it becomes even more sellable. So that's, I think, the stackable micro credentials, and then it generates a degree or it generates a qualification in the end. So I think that is the way moving forward in terms of the designing of the programs that I believe institutions to think about. And then when you start doing that, then perhaps you can package it differently. So when you package the entire thing, it becomes a full-fledged qualification. But you can also package it according to the, for example, the skill sets or the themes. There are certain themes maybe that when you accumulate, you combine this and this and this, then you get these skill sets, and that is useful for maybe a kind of certification, that can also be useful to the learner or to the student. So I think that is very, very important. Number one. Number two is, once you start to do unbundling, your lecturers, your instructors will play a very vital role. This is where I believe where the market will be very, very aggressive, because now although you profess in certain field of study, let's say you are very good in robotics, for example, but then when you start to unbundle, then there will be modules on robotics that can be offered by many universities. And once you allow this to be an open market, then students can start to choose credentials from the respective different universities. So what makes you special? What makes you special? Definitely the content, the lecturer himself or herself, how you deliver. So, and how is then be recorded into micro credentials, recorded into a digital form of learning, self-paced, for example. So I think and we believe that will be the moving forward. That will be very, very important. So again, this is linked to the previous questions about the training of the staff. So you need your staff to now step up, because you cannot just hide inside the program anymore. You have to stand out on your own, because your course is now going to be, taken or not taken by maybe individuals, not only among your students, but learners elsewhere. So we believe that this is a good, maybe a positive impact that we can see, that will actually then accelerate the improvement of our learning higher education system in Malaysia and the region, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I could see the promotion of entrepreneurial in that sense, like where a professor is, is only in the room with its expertise. And then, he as a subject matter expert, he or she will live on that status only, regardless of whether he or she from USIM, from UKM, from Uni 10. So we are really going to push the competency. Is that, Prof. Fatima, is the idea of Campus Merdeka, where students could pick and choose the courses from other universities, and they of course will choose the best? How that actually is happening in Indonesia?
Yeah.
Things that we could learn.
Yeah. Okay, I will make the MPKM or Campus Merdeka in detail. So actually there are several schemes in Merdeka Belajar Campus Merdeka. The first one is teaching campus. Teaching campus mean that the teaching in regional school for leadership, especially for the students taking the major of education, something like chemistry education, math education, and so on. So the student who teach in such area, they have experiences during their teaching. So the activities during the teaching will be recognized as a credit. That's the first scheme. So the second scheme is independent student exchange, mean that the student can select the other either the compulsory course or elected course in other university in Indonesia. So as I mentioned that even it is the same chemistry department or chemistry study program, but each university sometimes have the specific specific major or specific characteristic of the because of the university vision and mission. Like in chemistry, in University Islam Indonesia, we have chemistry which focusing on the essential oil study. So the student either in chemistry in other university can take some compulsory courses or elected courses in UII, but the major is like rather than other university, we are focusing on essential oil. And the other scheme is like international mobility, so the student can follow the activity, either research or sit in other university overseas. And then in independent entrepreneurship, if the student something like doing the business plan and make an activity of entrepreneurship in every sector, like uh, our student has the business in essential oil products, so
Mm.
they create the product of cosmetic perfume, and they also teach society, yeah, in villages that producing the essential oil. So that also the activity of MBKM. So it is
Mm.
also possible to be part of the experience during this student. And actually, no, some universities, mainly the public university, says that and feel that some new students feel that they are in wrong major. So that's why
Mm.
some university will create the scheme of study, like students should elect the major study program and also minor study program. So uh, the uh, the classification of study program becomes non-rigid, meaning that
Mm.
okay, I select some courses, yeah, maybe essential oil, and then I can also took the psychology, for example. So in last of the study year, so the head of study program can state that okay, you are major in chemistry, but the minor is psychology, like that. Yeah, it
Mm.
is the point to make the student comfortable with what they need to learn.
Mm.
And actually, in some university, including in UII, there is a scheme of student selection we call as the uh, rekognisi pembelajaran lampau, recognition of prior learning. So actually, the students not only coming from the higher school graduates, but also from the industrial worker, meaning that, for example, they work in industries after they got the vocational study in higher school, for example. Then we can calculate, we can recognize the activity of their their uh, their learning, yeah, their learning, even in micro credentials activities, or possibly they follow the system of certification. So
Mm.
this is the point that the I mean that the study, the what we feel is that the university should create the long life learning system, meaning that siapapun boleh belajar, ya. Uh,
Mm.
uh, Study program membebaskan, ya, make the selection will be free, ya. Either
Hmm.
in university
Democratization of learning in a way
learning,
that is
yes.
merdeka. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, that's the question from Auni just now. We take inshallah one more question. Okay, from Juliana. What key priorities should guide Malaysia and Southeast Asia in building a resilient, innovative, and globally connected higher education ecosystem over the next decade? So the priorities, maybe Prof. Khairul could talk from priorities that Malaysia could think of on behalf of Malaysia, and also Prof. Is highlight a little bit from Indonesia point of view. Yes.
Okay, so I think Malaysia, we are very blessed with in the sense that even if you look at our diversity in terms of the culture, in terms of the food, and English is well used in the country. So those are already, good qualities that attract a lot of international students to come. And we believe, at least we believe that by having now what we want to is actually the package, because now the support system is there. So what we need to do is to actually ensure that the content that we come up with, in terms of the programs, in terms of the subjects, is of quality. And again, in universities, institutions of higher learning needs to be agile, needs to be flexible in coming up with curriculum that is meeting the requirements of the industry, and the body of knowledge that you need to impart with the students. So we have now 5 institutions ranked in the top 200 in the world. 3 more in the top 300. So that gives us, a good standing, at least at the region. So we have the highest number of institutions ranked in the top 200, and maybe 3 more in the top 300. And that should be an attraction for students to come and study here in Malaysia. So we definitely, I think, as I said, we need to really work on the content. We need to be agile. We need to make sure that we are not left behind in terms of the content that can actually really help boost our industry, higher education industry in Malaysia. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Khairul. Yeah, Prof. Is your thoughts on this?
Yeah. Okay. I think my opinion is similar with the opinion of Prof. Hairul. So I think the priorities for the higher education in mainly in Southeast Asia is the science and technology based on the natural resources. Yeah, cause probably the similar biodiversity and also the culture, but it is very important to make sure that the sustainability and also environmental and cultural sustainability is also important to get interest, yeah, for developing the innovative and global recognition of the higher education in Malaysia and Southeast Asia, because you know that the competitiveness in the future is challenging. Yeah, we know the era of globalization is so massive. So it is like a real challenge for our graduates. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, thank you, Prof. Is. Yeah, inshallah, we have discussed a lot of things. I mean, on innovation, on quality assurance, on graduate employability, collaboration with industry, and so on, as part of higher, how we're gonna promote better quality for higher education system in Malaysia. And we're gonna wrap up, but before we end the session, to reflect again, our title of what we discussed today on higher education system in Malaysia, and also for Southeast Asia, charting the path ahead. What are your final thoughts on the charting of the path ahead of our education? Maybe Prof. Is would like to say it first, or Prof. Khairul? Yes.
Okay. Based on our discussion, I think the collaboration between the university in Southeast Asia is a very important. Not only to make the mobility and experiences to students, but also to strengthen the university, how to feel and how to achieve the learning outcome of the standard of the higher education itself. because as I mentioned that global challenge is very massive in the future. So the competencies of the graduate and the capability to enhance the learning outcome after they graduated from the university is also important. So yeah, so the standard of higher education level in Southeast Asia should be discussed and should be meet with the real condition of each country, I think. Yeah. So
Mm.
yeah, maybe that's all. Yeah.
Yeah, real condition, and it has to be contemporary to address the challenge. Yeah, Prof.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, Prof. Khairul, your thoughts on our
Okay.
higher education system. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. Zarina. Basically, if we look at Malaysia alone, we have what 34 million population right now.
Mm.
So maybe from the world point of view, it's not big. But when we look at ASEAN as a region, we are looking at about 680 million population. So that's a very, very big difference when you think about as a nation and as a group of nations. So I believe that's where we want to leverage on whatever we have agreed at the ASEAN level, because ASEAN, based on my personal experience, is all about consensus. And we have done a lot of things. And I believe our institutions may have not really leveraged enough on the things that we have done at the regional level. Take an example, our reference to AQRF. So we know that we are now referenced to AQRF, and MQ has been advocating that we have, for example, the the Malaysian Qualification Statement (MQS), which in that you can actually highlight our level of qualifications and how is it actually referenced to ASEAN framework. Because with that provides a value add that may actually be of importance when you want to actually attract more international students to come to Malaysia. So having balanced efforts at the national level and the regional level, I believe is very important. So that's why I think one of the suggestion to the region is to actually have something similar to what we have in Malaysia, which is the MQR, Malaysian Qualifications Register, the register for qualifications, but we look at it at the regional level. Because this is what Europe is doing. Europe has ICA, they have their own repository. So it's stronger when you actually have a regional level initiative that may actually be a louder voice. You can attract more students, more people to come to the region. And I think Malaysia has the capacity to lead a lot of initiatives in the region. And I believe that once we look at it beyond our borders, maybe our thoughts, our view will be different, and we may be able to see things more holistically. So I think I would encourage that to our leaders in all the institutions here in Malaysia to not just focus on internal domestic market, but we need to go beyond the borders. So I think that's the only way for us to survive in this very, very challenging area of business where it's the higher education. So yeah, I think that's I think my take on how we should be charting ahead. And with that, of course, when you see the views differently, of course, then there will, you can start to see what are the reforms, what are the changes that needs to be done locally to suit the requirements nationally. But I think I want to say this as well. We still need to stay rooted, grounded to our values, ethics that we have in the country. So that makes us Malaysian. So I think that I think needs to be the DNA has to be there, but we need to also see what are the others doing and need to be able to be adaptive, so that we are, what we call the citizen of the world. So I think that I think is very, very important. Thank you.
Mm. Thank you very much, Prof. Khairul, and also Prof. Is. So I cannot stop myself from saying this. I think the conclusion to our discussion is that the way forward is that we democratize the higher learning to ASEAN level, and also taking from Prof. Khairul, I think we fly but we stay rooted. If there is such thing that we can think we fly but we stay rooted to our DNA. So thank you very much to both panelists. I enjoy the session very much in this 1.5 hours, and I hope you two, both panelists and also the viewers, enjoyed the session, and which are putting us into the strategic thinkers on future of higher education as well. Thank you very much for the insightful discussion. And we have discussed about strong leadership, agile governance, relevant program, international research, collaboration as well. And together, this element will help Malaysia and also Indonesia within the ASEAN market to build a resilient, future-ready, and globally connected higher education system. On behalf of Akept and everyone here, we sincerely thank our panelists for the valuable insights, and hope this sparks strategic thinking for higher education in Malaysia and the region. So yeah, I'm done with my role as moderator. Please now, Dr. Hidayah, I give the session to you. Thank you.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, so thank you so much. That concludes our webinar for today. Many thanks to our wonderful moderator, Professor Dr. Zurina Shafi'i, our incredible panelists, Professor Insigne Dr. Khairul Saleh Muhammad Sahari from UNITEN, Professor Dr. Isfatima from Universitas Islam Indonesia. And to conclude today's enlightening discussions, let us embrace the spirit from the Malaysian Education Blueprint. It said we must aspire to create a higher education system that ranks among the world's leading education systems and enables Malaysia to compete globally. So once again, thank you so much to everyone involved. Thank you to Akept, Yusim Simeo Raihead, our distinguished panelists, and all of you, members of the global academic community, for sharing your time and energy with us today. Before we leave, this is the final installment of the Akept LTA webinar series for this year. So please allow me to express my deepest gratitude to several key members of the team. First of all, thank you to Mr. Faisal, Mr. Muizuddin, his technical crew at SDEC. Their live streaming magic has been exemplary. Thank you so much to Puan Nora. She was the maestro, the superwoman that's been keeping all the wheels turning even at 1 or 2 in the morning. So thank you so much for making everything run so smoothly this last year. Thank you to Professor Madia, Dr. Umu Atia, and her wonderful team at Akept. We at USIM are eternally grateful for this opportunity that you've given us. Thank you to the excellent speakers that we've had, not just from Malaysia. We've had speakers all across ASEAN. We've even had speakers all the way from Ireland. Thank you so much for all the incredible sharing that you've given us this past year. Last but not least, thank you to all of you, our excellent viewers. Without your support, we would be nothing. So thank you for tuning in with us. It has been an incredible journey. So take care, everybody. And for the last time this year, thank you so much for tuning in into Akept's LTA webinar series. Take care, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And thank you. Goodbye.
Waalaikumsalam.